Here we go into games 21, 22, and 23, starting with game 21. Against Demon Hunter. This hand is great. We want all of these against aggressive decks. Now we have the 1, 2, 3, which is not quite as good as it looks since we're going first and our 1 and 2 are reactive, so they probably won't have much to react to. Or at least our 1 won't have anything. But it's still excellent cards.
None will survive.
Our opponent with the coin 2 1-drops. 2/2 and a 1/2 that grows. And so this turn there's a number of different plays. We could Wrath either one, or we could Spellstone either one. The Spellstone can upgrade to deal more damage, but currently the Wrath has the potential to do 3 damage. However, there's nothing in their deck that they play with 3 HP really other than Happy Ghoul. So I decided to use the Wrath. And the main question is do I want to hit the 2/2 or the 1/2 that grows? Obviously, the 1/2 that grows will become much bigger than the 2/2 eventually. However, my opponent might be spending their mana on playing creatures, would be the one reason to play the Jasper Spellstone. But I decided to go with the Wrath. Another reason is that Wrath costs 2 and Spellstone costs 1, so we can weave in that Spellstone more easily on future turns. They play another 2/2. This turn, I could play Mishfin, I could play Steladris and the Spellstone. I decided to go with the Mishfin. The Steladris and Spellstone technically leaves us with a slightly better board. However, they're going into turn 3. They want to play a 3-drop probably and not hero power. And this kind of makes them want to hero power so they can trade in a 2/2 and remove the Mishfin.
One day, I'll be a real knight.
They just have more 1-drops. So it's our turn 4. We're going to play Fendrel. We don't want to play the Floop Mishfin because if it dies, we'll have 2 Prime Mishfins in our deck, which will turn off the Reno effects. The other option would have been to do like Zola or Steladris and Spellstone, but Fendrel's good enough here. 3/5, nice body.
They will never catch me.
When it clears off our Fendrel. Now we have a couple options. I decide to hero power, and then I think we either play Steladris or we pass. Play the Steladris, we don't have any spells to combo with him, and we just need something on board.
Free your mind from its bonds.
And the final question is whether we Spellstone the Battle Mage, and I decide not to. The Spellstone is our only removal left in our hand, and we need something in case they play a Satyr Overseer and clear our board. However, saving the Spellstone does end up losing me this game, I think. We take just a little bit too much damage from that 2/2 that we never end up quite clearing. However, I still think it's right to keep the Spellstone. So here we play our 3-drop and Zola it. We don't really care about getting the extra copy with Zola. We just want Zola for the 2/2. So we see what we draw with the Alkali of Pain first. Living Roots. We can use that to help clear off the Glaive-bound Adept.
Look at me.
And then the question is, do we Hero Power the Battle Mage? Do we Spellstone it? Do we Oasis Surger it? And I decide I really want to play Alkali of Pain this turn. I want to draw to Reno, or our armor cards. And so just getting the draw on the board is my top priority. And the other thing is, Oasis we can use as kind of removal in case they play something bigger. I do want to Hero Power. The question is, do we attack into the Battle Mage or do the Spellstone? I decide to Spellstone. If we attack into it, we die to Leroy, plus Hero Power. If we don't attack into it, we're out of range of that. Fortunately for us, our opponent doesn't have any minions to play this turn, so we can't get any draw off of our Alkali of Pains, and they're able to push extra damage with the Metamorphosis. We really need to draw Reno or Armor, and our Alkali of Pains don't really have a way of doing that. Ferocious Howl's a pretty good draw here, but Plated Beetle, Hero Power. Technically, we're still alive through their Metamorphosis and then their Hero Power after that at 1 HP, but 1 damage is not a hard ask for that deck to come up with. They've got Leroy, Glaive-bound, War Glaives.
Well played.
And they have the Leroy. So actually looking back to that Jasper Spellstone use, I would have taken 4 less if I had Spellstone there 2/2. So actually I would not have had enough HP either way to survive the Leroy. Looks like there wasn't much we could have done differently that game. Here we go, game 22 against a mage. Want a mulligan if it's a secret mage. It's always tempting when you have a gold and a lease in your hand to keep it, but it's just too slow. Oasis Surger, nice removal, but 5 mana, not what we want in our opening hand. Archboar Mishvan, great. Crystal Merchant, a little bit more debatable, but I think it's okay against mage. It can eat explosive runes pretty well. The Lotheb draw is great.
Time runs out on me.
Opponent's thinking long about this turn.
What to do? What to do?
They play the Quest, so it is Quest Mage. The fact that they thought long about it might suggest that they have Spellwing in hand, that they were debating whether to play that first or the Quest first. or they could have been AFK.
Of course it's the right way.
Questing Explorer is pretty good. Or maybe they just wanted the Questing Explorer on turn 2. So we're going to coin out the Mishvin. 3-4 beats the 2-3. And we can follow it up with Merchant, Ferocious Howl, or Plated Beetle next turn. Most likely the Merchant. We want to get in that card draw while we can. Howl we can always draw instantaneously if need be. Beetle we might play if their board needs to be answered more quickly. So they did have the Spellwing. No need to trade into it. We'll push that 3 damage. And now we have Dirty Rat, we have Dirty Rat, and we have Loatheb, and we have Elise. This is looking like we got all of our combo disruption that we need for this matchup. The Loatheb combo route disruption is better, just because Dirty Rat Poison Seeds still leaves behind 2/2s, and if we're low enough, they can still just play the quest and attack multiple times with 2/2s and kill us that way. So this turn, we're just going to play the Beetle. We don't want to play Rat. We could have played the Howl, but I want to put stats on board. Don't want a hero power, so we can draw off the Crystal Merchant. One mana Dragon's Breath removes the Merchant. They're just gonna Arcane Missile's face. It looks like it's gonna be a Mana Cyclone type turn. And so with Mana Cyclone coming up, there is a real argument to play Loatheb here. Their hand is mostly spells. It's basically play a 5/5, take an extra turn, the Loatheb is right now. However, we really want to duplicate it with Elise, so we can play it twice. The big fear is if I Elise now, then they have a turn where if they draw a Sorcerer's Apprentice, they might be able to dump their hand of spells, get the quest, and then the Loatheb is still good, but not quite as good as it is right now. I'm counting the cards in my hand. It looks like we'll get a duplicate of Loatheb, Ferocious Howl, Poison Seeds, and the Dirty Rat, I believe. No, just 3. But duplicating that Loatheb is just so important. So we're taking a little bit of a risk, hoping they don't draw into the Apprentice. Looks like they don't. The secret is a bit spooky. We don't know if it's going to be a counter spell, if it's going to be an ice block, it could be duplicate, could be Flame Ward. Kind of looks like Flame Ward, not anymore. Mill the Reno Jackson, it's a little rough. Makes us want to go the Loatheb route rather than the Dirty Rat route. So I think here we're just going to Loatheb. We're going to see how far these 2 Loathebs take us, and hopefully by then we'll be stabilized enough that we can Dirty Rat and Poison Seeds and get away with it.
What to do? What to do?
Looks like the Loatheb was really good here. They had no spells to play. And the Zola draw is insane. That means we can Loatheb this turn and next turn. No need to play Rat. It'll probably bring out an 8/8. Just gonna attack face and hero power. And it looks like, unless they have Ice Block, we just have lethal. Not next turn, but the turn after. And they do play the Ray of Frost, slows us down just a little bit. Got Spellbreaker, we could silence the Loatheb to push 5, but we'll just take an extra turn with another Loatheb and Zola. So this is what the deck is supposed to do against Quest Mage. We just want to draw Loatheb, duplicate it, lock them out from playing spells. They get to play one spell that costs 4 or less. If they have a freeze effect, that might slow us down enough, but if they do have a freeze effect, we still have the Dirty Rat. They're going for something with the portal. Just get a ghoul, it's not going to save them. The only thing that saves them is if they have an ice block. They're playing the Giants, which I think they're trying to hope that I trade into them, which kind of tells me that they don't have the ice block, so that's the first thing we're going to check for. They don't have the ice block, so we get the win. If it had been ice block, I probably would have just played Dirty Rat and Poison Seeds. That would have just left them with 2/2s. And I think we would have had enough mana left over for a Ferocious Howl as well. And that probably would put us out of range, short of a Vargoth. Alright, game 23. Up against a Rogue. And so with Rogue and Wild, there's really only one established deck, and that is Odd Rogue. And even Odd Rogue has fallen quite out of favor. There are a lot of just homebrew Rogue decks usually, because Odd Rogue isn't that popular of a deck. Recently there's been a few more Galakron Rogue decks. I think it's players from Standard that have come over to Wild. But we definitely mulligan as if it's Odd Rogue, both with mulliganing against aggro archetypes, principle, and also because it's just the most prevalent deck for Rogue. We could have coined out the Druid of the Swarm and then go into the Crystal Merchant, but we saw that their hero power was not upgraded by Baku, so it looks like it's a homebrew. Sure enough, they play the Clever Disguise. It is a Thief Rogue deck. We'll just play the 1/5. The 1/2 Poisonous is too easily answered with Backstab or 2 Dagger attacks. We also want to protect the Crystal Merchant and just start drawing. What we want to draw into is Dirty Rat. That stops a lot of the homebrew deck shenanigans. But also we just want to draw into our powerful cards because we have some crazy value that even Rogue can struggle to outvalue us. They play Cutlass, and so now I know we need to get to our Zephyrus so we can get the weapon removal. So here, I'm thinking of playing the Acolyte of Pain. I'm kind of scared of overdrawing, but I think it's worth it to just cycle. We could potentially be overdrawn twice if they can do 3 damage to the Acolyte of Pain, but that's pretty difficult to do, especially when he's hiding behind a taunt. There goes the Cutlass. I want to not draw off the Crystal Merchant, put up a big taunt. We got 8 cards in hand. If they just kill the Acolyte in 1 damaging attack, we won't overdraw.
That was wild.
Alright, we draw Reno. Got a full hand. I want to coin Malfurion so I can get rid of 2 cards from our hand. Now the best they can do is overdraw us by 1 if they do 2 damage to our Acolyte of Pain. And they play a secret. With the new secrets that just came out from Rogue, I have no idea how to play around it. I know that there's Bamboozle. And there's Evasion. I remember that. But I decide, you know what, we're so far ahead on board, we're just gonna start testing and see what comes up. It's a cheat death. Nothing to worry about. I want to remove our Alkaloid Pain so we don't have to worry about overdrawing. Now this turn, I forget I still have the Crystal Merchant on board, so I will draw another card if I don't spend all my mana. I play the card 2 thinking I'm safe, but then the Crystal Merchant draws us, and I realize we will overdraw one. And this is getting dangerous because we've gone pretty far into our deck. No Zephyrus. If we overdraw Zephyrus, we have no answer to the Spectral Cutlass. I think the previous turn, the play was either to just play 2 cards or try to spend 7 mana.
Incredible.
We overdraw Enzoth, which it looks like a big overdraw, but really it's not. All we need is Zephyrus, and we'll be fine this game. I decided let's see what we can get with Bran and Dirty Rat. We get nothing. They have a handful of spells.
Incredible.
We have an 8-card hand. It's okay if we draw out the Crystal Merchant. In fact, we want to draw out the Crystal Merchant. We want to keep drawing until we get Zephyrus. And of course, hope he's not the last card in the deck. Because Valera, a bit of a problem for us. It's going to be hard to play many of our cards. Though we can finish off our own Crystal Merchant, so we stop drawing. I think we decide here to kill it off. We haven't drawn Zephyrus yet, but we're really deep into our deck. We have an Elise in hand, a full hand, Rising Wind still in our hand. I want to just dump cards now. And Fatigue is starting to enter the back of our mind. We're getting close to the end of their deck. This deck has no way of fighting Fatigue. We have no Baleful Banker, nothing like that. And that's just because those long Fatigue matchups really don't happen in Wild anymore. When it does come down to Fatigue, it's not even really Fatigue. It's more who ended up getting more value throughout the game and in the early game usually. And we got Zephyrus. So we can remove their Cutlass, we can copy it with Zola, so we have another one in hand. We want to remove the weapon now, and then later we'll try to empty our hand and copy him again with the Elise. There we go, Zephyrus gives us Swamp Boost. Swamp Boost destroys the weapon. Zola copies Zephyrus, so Zephyrus is in our hand, safe and sound. Now we just want to keep dumping our hand. The biggest way we lose now is if they somehow fatigue us, if they have Cold Light Oracles perhaps. And so here we see why this deck doesn't really work. The Valera deck. It just hard loses to weapon removal, which every Reno deck has thanks to Zephyrus. Looks like a fun deck, but it's not quite viable, unfortunately. Here, I want to play the Rising Winds before we play Steladris or Fendrel, because I don't want to draw any more cards. We've got the Zephyrus, we're not going any deeper into our deck than necessary. And with this board, next turn, Zephyrus can give us lethal with Bloodlust, Savage Roar. Opponent plays Witch's Brew, hoping to just buy another turn, but Zephyrus is too good of a card.
Masterful. Your wish is my suggestion.
There's the Bloodlust. Interesting that Zephyrus showed Ysera as an option. I thought he always tries to show damaging options when he has lethal. Alright, that's a good game.